Hello there everyone and welcome back to more Warpforge multiplayer. This time around, of our last two factions to review and look over, it is time to play with the Ultramarines. And I believe they're supposed to be intended as maybe the tutorial starting faction you're supposed to start with, considering you play as Uriel in the very first matches of the tutorial. Although to be fair, you switch over quickly to Orcs after that. So maybe both of them are meant to be kind of the pseudo starting factions, although trying to prepare for this deck and try and learn a nice competitive build with the limited cards I have available to me, it's a little bit tricky. It feels like I'm on a tightrope to whether I win or lose, especially since with some of the legendary cards that I don't have, well, epic and legendaries to be fair, and never mind my opponents potentially have access to but may not have for the games I've been practicing and preparing for, it probably could snowball badly against me with how close a lot of those games have been. But it seems like there's a lot of potential this game, and I only, as per usual, got about halfway through, and then it starts getting pretty expensive. For the case of Tyranids though, I spent a little bit more time trying to unlock the epics here, as I think getting the extra Stone's Ropes and all the extra epics, whichever one the epics were. Let's see, the Biofor was a big essential one. I didn't have any of them for a while. So getting the two of them, getting a Fawn Ryan Leaper, my only Fawn Ryan Leaper for that Tyranid video, it helped out tremendously, it felt like, after trying to fine-tune the deck. But in this case, I still feel like there's a lot of work, a lot of fine-tuning needs to be done, but this is what we have access to. I was even lucky enough to get a random legendary card from one of the random packs or sets of cards you get for free, but I don't think it's a legendary card I actually want to utilize. Humanity's Shield for 2 energy just makes my Warlord immune, invulnerable, which really is more for like a late game type of deck, which sadly we don't really have for this stream, this episode at least, since I don't think I have all the pieces I really need for that. So unfortunately, I'm going to be leaving that out of the deck because I honestly don't know how to make the best use of it, because our deck's going to be incredibly aggressive to make use of Uriel's little trait here, which pretty straightforward, pretty simple one. We already see him plenty of times in action. He just does a bunch of damage onto 3 different targets potentially, which can be really good at taking out those stubborn 3 health minions, 3 health troops in the early portion of the game. But on top of that, this is like a different source of damage and not added to my Warlord, which means it makes very good use of destroying Spirit Stones and remnants of Necron, well, for Eldari and Necron respectively, which can help a lot in limiting what my opponent can do. It is good at just wearing down the Warlord even if I'm busy fighting his troops off. Very slowly, mind you, but it has that benefit as well. But with that said, let's talk about what nuances we have here, what we're going to be using for this deck, because again, it's going to be a pretty aggressive one. I don't have a single card here at 7 cost or higher, but thankfully I do have a few cards that will allow me to keep my hand size going, or at least cycle cards, a bit of card draw, so it's not as bleak as it may sound for the later game. And if I can get to turn 10, or at least 10 energy, while still having a decent hand size, then I'm drawing 2 cards every turn, which will help offset that quite a bit. And apparently, look at my deck, it's 2-to-1 ratio there, 20 troops, 10 stratagems, and a lot of that is because most of these troops, like the infiltrator we're going to start with there, do have rally effects, or at least additional effects on top of just raw stats. The Ultramarines, interestingly, feel like a very fragile unit, or very fragile faction, at least in comparison to a lot of the other 2 and 3 cost type of troops. Hell, both our 1 cost units are basically only single health infiltrators and scouts, which is the easiest thing to get rid of. But truth be told, the only reason I have the scouts and infiltrators in here, well really it's 2 reasons. I have them in there primarily for the codex, which allows me to have a nice easy way to help trigger that. Like the Firstborn here's a basic example. If I can use all my energy that I have available to me, then I get an additional effect for every turn that allows for it. It can be pretty nice there, especially if I could get multiple codexes triggering at once, which is very unlikely since again, a lot of my troops can be pretty fragile. But yeah, the second reason, at least for the infiltrators here, this I want to feel like it helps to enable aggression on the warlord, because if I can blind them, because yeah, originally before there was a lot of nerfs to the Ultramarines, they were the most prominent faction at the start of December, and one of the nerfs they did here was instead of a generic blind to a target of my choice, there is a condition now which the opponent has to be damaged, which makes it really hard to utilize effectively on just the troop itself, unless I'm utilizing other means of damage beforehand, or risking a little bit of damage to a troop that might potentially kill it before blinding it. But in this case, the alternative now to reliably use the infiltrator is to probably blind the opponent's warlord and just get a bunch of free damage on him, on them rather, especially if I have been good about clearing the board and keeping them from having troops of their own. It's a little bit of a reward there to get 4, 5, 6 maybe points of damage for free, and then they'll have to deal with these 1 health minions on their own on their turn, as opposed to me suiciding them for free. It has a nice little caveat there to help enable aggression if nothing else. Of course, the codex is another reason there, and the scouts are a lot of the same reason, helping to enable my codex. And with camouflage, they basically cannot be destroyed by spells, stratagems in general. So my opponent will have to use a melee attack more often than not, or some board clear, to effectively get rid of these guys. They probably are a little more annoying. They are, again, very easy to deal with though. So if just meleeing them in general was good enough to kill them there, because even if they had 2 health like the Eldari, Storm Guardians, then it makes no difference here. There's very few situations where at 1 point health even makes a difference, so they might as well have 2 health for all I care a lot of the time. Regardless, moving on, those are pretty much our only 1 cost cards. I have been jumping back and forth between the Primaris Intercessor, which is just flat 2/2/3, and the Assault Intercessor, which swaps the damage stats a little bit, and they have Vanguard. I think for the purposes of this video, I'm going to stick with the Assault Intercessor, at least for the moment, because at least mid-game, later game, this at least forces my opponent to attack the Assault Intercessors, protecting a lot of my other fragile units in the process. The big example I've been having a really hard time utilizing is the 7th Company Bikes. 2 health on a 3 cost troop is very hard to get real value out of. The 2 damage is really nice for killing a valuable target, or at least a weakened target, but it's then quickly cleaned up by the warlord at the very least, which honestly doesn't feel like it's getting its value in unless I can get a nice full ranged attack. So mid-game, there could be some synergy there, potentially, even for my infiltrators and scouts. It will help them a lot in staying alive, so I think I'm utilizing them for that reason. Otherwise, I like the more well-roundedness of the Intercessor, because then my opponent, if they choose to put their warlord into it, are still taking 2 damage, as opposed to the Assault Intercessor. They can kind of avoid a lot of that damage if I'm happen to play both of them throughout the match. But at least the Vanguard could offset that quite well. It's hard to really say, because I've been playing with the Primaris Intercessors more than the Assault versions. Moving on, otherwise we already showcased the Firstborn. If they could survive more than 1 turn, then just doing the extra damage can be really nice, but I don't like the random element to it, so I think the strategy for this deck is to try and clear off the board normally, and have these codexes, any of these direct damage type of codexes, kind of hit the warlord as kind of a reliable, consistent mean of doing damage. Because if suddenly there's like 3 or 4 troops and I'm not able to control it very well, then this random damage could be completely useless, especially since I have to spend all my energy before it takes effect, which makes it really hard to plan for it in such a manner. Normally it'd be better to play something that does direct damage or trigger a random effect first, and then see how I use the rest of my energy, especially if I need to use a stratagem or something to clean up. In this case, I don't have that convenience, so it's going to be a little more trickier in that effect. Then otherwise, speaking of stratagems and doing direct damage, point blank shot, this is one of my cycle cards. Before it used to be just a straight up draw card for free with no caveat. The nerf there back in December now requires it to actually kill a target, which honestly isn't really a hard criteria to meet if I'm completely honest. Unless you're trying to rush down the warlord by doing as much damage as possible. That's probably the only exception the nerf actually takes effect. But otherwise, if you use this as part of a kill combo to kill a troop, then that's not really a big issue. I don't believe the nerf really did anything there. And then otherwise I have only a single Reaver unlocked, and this is another perfect example I'm talking about. This is a very awkward type of troop to utilize, I'm not gonna lie. And it's an epic type card too, which is kind of odd because here, I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm gonna talk about here, but in the terms of rarity, where are they? Armored Support and Battlefield Supremacy. Two cards are almost identical, but you can clearly see the power creep here between these two cards, where one just allows you to draw a card and reduce its cost. Battlefield Supremacy does the exact same thing, drawing a card, but it reduces the cost of all vehicles in your deck. A little bit of obvious power creep here. The only caveat, the only balancing factors, I think you can only have a single legendary card in your deck, so it's not quite gonna be a complete replacement for Armored Support, more but that it complements it in the best case scenario. But you could clearly see with a lot of this, I think you've seen it before with all the other decks I previewed, how the higher rarity cards are just superior in a myriad of different ways as opposed to their lower counterparts, or at least lower rarity. I don't think it's as obvious here aside for that one card for Space Marines, I think. Otherwise, moving on. Oh yeah, moving on back to the Reaver there. He is a bit of a tricky card, but he could be a very niche, very specialized type of sniping tool to kill Guardians and then kind of go after the Spirit Stones, or even just go after really problematic remnants. There could be a use for him there. Not so much fighting things one-on-one, because that would be kind of a bad trade there, because if he suicides himself, that's kind of a 1-1 card trade. More often than not, especially mid-later game, he's probably charged into something that's more durable than him. And then that suddenly becomes a 2-for-1 trade, more often than not. So I'm still trying to figure out how to get the most out of him, so I'm thankful we're limited to only one. And it's not even by choice in this case, since I have yet to unlock a second one. Otherwise, let's see. We talked about the 7 company bikes. I do like the fact that it does direct damage. It's just going to be really hard to keep alive, which is where I'm going to be paying close attention to if the assault intercessors can synergize with them pretty well. Because I don't think these guys really do much in terms of a turn 3 play, outside maybe forcing their warlord to try and kill this off as opposed to attack me directly. That might be the one exception. If the more damage I could do to the warlord due to this aggressive build, the better, really. I just would have liked them to have 3 health or some way to stay durable, because in all honesty, I don't think Ultramarines have any stratagems, any ability to really increase the health of their troops. It's just really buffing up their damage, and even then, that can be a little bit tricky due to them being a little bit all over the place. Assault intercessors are more melee focused, some of them are average. Firstborn here have more emphasis on the range damage, although they do have codex. So things that boost your melee, boost your range attack like Sacred Bolters can be a bit hit or miss, which is why I kind of avoid them completely. Never mind the fact these would benefit more for bigger, more impactful type of cards, which we don't really have access to. Like the Dreadnought, I think, is one of our more impactful type of heavy units, and they're an epic card that I've yet to actually get. So I don't think I'm really using any stratagems outside of just for my own support and longevity, really. Kind of like Point Blank Shot for a cycle card, and then another card we're going to talk about in a moment here, Hero's Respite, allowing me to draw 2 extra cards whenever it's not worth trying to flood the board with minions because they maybe have a board clear at that point, or just because it's not really necessary, in all honesty. But here's one of the cards I really do like, and it's another one that got nerfed down, the Primaris Inceptor rather. This thing was apparently really problematic because you see my Swooping Hawks before when I was playing Eldari. Now imagine this guy being 2, 4, 3. That was his original stats. He was better in every way, and he's only an uncommon rank, so it's not like he was epic for the power creep to kick in. Now he's a little more in line, but instead of a Spear Stone for a Swooping Hawk, we have Flank on the Inceptor, and he can be pretty impactful, and he's going to be a prime example why that 3 health is going to be useful for keeping board control. Because he's a flyer, my opponent, if he doesn't have a stratagem, is going to have to go face in that 3 points of damage, and that softens him up nicely for the later portion of the game. And then moving on to a proper epic card that I just recently got double of. Sternguard Sergeant, Codex 2 damage to a random enemy. Very impactful. It can be at very least, but the randomness is something I'm going to have to be mindful of and try and manage. And otherwise, moving on to more of the very problematic type of cards. Step from above. 5 damage for 4, now drop down to 4. A lot of the reason why I'm giving you what they were before the nerfs is so you can easily judge from these matches I'm about to do how that might have played out for the battles I'm about to jump into. If the extra 1-2 points of damage if I played both my Death from Aboves could have made a significant impact in that match, or just the extra damage from the Inceptor, would that have been enabled bigger, more significant type of plays. The Honor Guard here, which I'm not going to be utilizing, is another example, which I think was a 4/4/5 taunt. A very solid, well-rounded type of card with Vanguard on top of it. But we're not going to be utilizing that. In fact, aside for the Assault Intercessor, I don't think I have any real Vanguard, so I've been doing a lot of practice matches without Vanguard, so my guys were pretty isolated, and they weren't really supporting each other the best unless I have something like the Chaplain here, which, because of the fragileness of my troops, is incredibly hard for them to stay on the board for the Codex effect to really kick in. The truth be told, the only reason I have him in here because of that issue is he's probably the only 4-cost troop, the 4-cost infantry I even have, in all honesty. I have Death from Above, Storm Raven, which is my board AoE attack, and that's pretty much it. Because I didn't want to rely on Electus here, because the Blind, that's even more random effectiveness compared to just raw damage itself. At least the damage could kill something. If this Blind something that basically was kind of weak or didn't do anything at all, then it's pretty much a useless Codex effect. I would like a little more reliability to that. It's kind of hard to justify him. But otherwise, I talked about the Storm Raven already. Does a little bit of damage to the Warlord and helps me soften up the board if my opponent just floods the field. I am trying. There was a brief period where I only had a single one of these, and I'm still contemplating if that's what I really want. If I haven't, switch this over for maybe another stratagem or something else. Hard to really say, but that's something I'm leaning towards, as if I were to get into the Space Marines, the Ultramarines later on. And then we don't have very much left here. Yeah, we really have only 3 cards left. It's Spider Retribution. Basically simple, straightforward troop removal. Hard removal at that. They get no say on it. Armor's not going to help them. It just kills a target if it's very problematic. And if it's higher cost or later game, then I still have energy to play some cards, flood the board, and punish them for it. Very simple, very straightforward, and good at what it does. Otherwise, I have 2 Inceptor Sergeants. These guys were also buffed up to ridiculous levels, but I'm going to have to double check what these were. Where are you? Yeah, Inceptor Sergeant. So his melee attack... Let's see. Oh, they actually increased the melee attack, but they nerfed down the range attack. So he was a 3/6/6 before. Now he's a little more well-rounded 4/5/6. So, bit of a side grade, but you can imagine how much more impactful 6 damage could be, on top of being a flyer and flanking. So ultimately still a nerf there, but we have 2 of those on the board, and I was also contemplating having just a single one in there. And then that leaves our highest rarity card, our last card here, Lieutenant Calcius here. pretty straightforward. I talked about the randomness before, and in this case, while may not seem all that exciting, I will admit, because doing direct damage to the Warlord may not be ideal. He is kind of like a pseudo finisher card, where every time I could trigger Codex and he's not dealt with, then he's just doing free damage to the Warlord, which can be very nice. And very briefly, I had Tactical Insight here, which could be really nice for double comboing the Codex effects. I did take it out for this video, but there was a few situations where I was able to double, maybe even get 3 uses out of Calcius there as a result of that. It felt really good when it works out. The only reason I took it out is it feels like a bit of a gimmick, a little bit harder to pull off if I'm holding that, what is it called again? Tactical Insight, just for our lieutenant here. If I could find some good situations where it justifies it for maybe the Firstborn or any of my other Codex characters, then I might bring it back in. Otherwise, that was an incredibly long introduction. I apologize if I was a little bit all over the place. There is some promise to this deck, but I feel like it's going to be fighting tooth and claw, and I'm going to have to play very precise to make this deck work. In all honesty, that's kind of fits with how the Ultramarines function. They are very tactical, they have to be very precise to get victory. So let's hope we get those kind of results, shall we? Alright, we have ourselves a mirror match here. What would I honestly like though? Because our opponent here is really good at triggering Codex with Tigerius. And I don't know if I want point blank shot. I would like some troops to start getting presence. And I want to keep Calcius there since he's my only one of. Well, I guess I'll go with that there. 2 health Reavers are going to be tricky to utilize.
The Ultramarines is bonded to you.
Oh boy.
We will not fail. We are Ultramarines.
Well, this is going to make things awkward for me.
The Emperor guides us to victory.
So I gotta be very careful about Orbital Strike, although it can ruin their day just as easily. But I think we'll play just pretty straightforward, because that's free 1 point damage there, and then it can just blast to kill them off. I should not carelessly play any troops, because sure, it's only 10% chance, but if I just lose the troops randomly and not get value with them immediately, that's going to be a bit of a problem. If I play him, I want him to actually do something, or at least have a purpose, rather than just hope they survive and tank some hits. So he just drew a stratagem, so...
Taking cover. Enemies in range.
At least in this case, the Reaver could trade for that pretty well and still have health. Just comes down to what do I do with my extra point of energy. Because yeah, if I play the Reaver, that doesn't do me much good. Where I think our company bike might be better. It does the same thing. It's just... I don't want to I'm just trying to think for the high factory. When is the best time to utilize that? Because this will die without a doubt, as will the Reaver. Yeah, we'll play this guy. I was trying to find a justification for utilizing my AoE, my assault, because that would just kill off the scout anyway. Although, to be honest, if I had just used the AoE blast in, well, I didn't really have anything else to utilize. That's a bit of the problem. The Reaver would not have been able to attack. So yeah, maybe that was a bad call. Maybe I should have played a little more cautious there. But I feel like my opponent might be stalling a bit, which is another concern I have. So this might be yeah, if Orbital Strike hits though, that's a bit of a problem though. I do not want to rely on that. So as much as I dislike the Chaplain going in blind, is there really a better alternative? That's the honest question.
We need to move now. Trust in the Emperor as the hour of battle.
Maybe my hand here is not the most ideal, but I'm trying to consider how. I want to try and get aggressive ideally. It's going to be tricky with the orbital strike going on. Because I can't flood the board carelessly. Okay, Apothecary.
The Emperor's work must be safeguarded.
So I can kill him off. I have the Reaver. I could do a melee attack, but that's not worth it. Actually, Reaver and then point blank. That's a way to kill him off. Actually, I have a better idea how to do that. Without having to use my point blank.
They'll be dead before they see me coming.
Because remember how I talked about free damage there with the blind?
Position. We strike
This is a
soon.
good way to get said free damage in. Oh, that was a melee attack to be fair, so that was dumb on my part. I got a little too excited there. That was supposed to be a range attack. Because now, yeah, if that orbital strike had hit there, that would have killed them. And that's not what I wanted. So slight misplay there, but didn't really get punished. Because, yeah, the chaplain's still alive. There, now that justifies it right there. So now we're going to start punishing the Warlord.
Form up and advance.
And this might justify them using his Inspire Retribution on him. But he got 3 points of damage in, and he's going to be hard to kill otherwise. And no Orbital Strike yet. You can see in the background, but still. I have to be very cautious of that. Yep, there it is. Takes almost their entire turn, which I'm fine with, because I still got away with 3 points of damage. With 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage on the board. So unless he starts shielding, he's very close to death. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do we have the... We don't have the energy to just straight up kill him, sadly. So now, how do I spend... Oh, I can reduce the cost of 1 card. So, gotta be mindful of that, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that'll give me 3 energy.
Now. Shot by shot, we will purge the galaxy. The Emperor guides us.
Oh, I didn't even need to do that.
Yeah.
Now, let's see if they play that legendary card I showcased before to just keep himself alive for a turn. Oh, that sucks. Back-to-back orbital strikes. That was really unfortunate, but if he doesn't kill me now, I win. But that may have just screwed me over as a result, too. He is going to shield up, but that's not good. If he shields, that helps a lot. Yep, desperate play. There goes half their energy. And as we already know, I can negate that.
Death won't take me without a fight.
Especially, oh, we didn't take any damage, so this is over. And just to add insult to injury, we're going to draw a card from this. There we go. I did do slight misplays. I did get punished for it as a result of that. But we still got a victory in. A pretty solid one. So I could be pretty happy with that at the very least. Oh boy. I was joking about legendaries and all that before. At the end of that last our mirror match. And now we have Abaddon. And I don't want 2 1-cost cards, sadly. Or Death from Above. Yeah, I don't think I want Death from Above, honestly. I need presence. I will happily take an Scepter, though. Don't know what to expect from the Firstborn.
Swords of Calth, with me.
And I didn't even use my high factor either.
Bring no mercy.
I was thinking of using it before, but didn't need it, apparently.
Death to the false Emperor.
Now, I could reduce the cost, but yeah, Scepter just straight dies. 50-50 chance if I were to bring the sergeant out of killing him, so I think what I do is just kill him, bring up the firstborn, and take a shot at Abaddon. Even though it is an extra point of damage, sadly. Don't think there's much I could do about it.
We are the sons of Gilliman.
See if I can get 2 turns of just soften up Abaddon, ideally. And it gives me board presence to potentially kill anything sends out. Okay, spawn, so 1-1 trade, a little bit of damage on Abaddon, who just heals himself up. Not ideal, but I will take it. It burns one of his spawns. And then I could just do it again, but harder. Is that ideal? Is there a better play with that said? Because I want him to take these guys seriously, because they could just keep hammering on him if he doesn't kill him in a single turn. That is the thought process, but I do have the Hive Factory as well. I just don't see a better alternative play.
We need to move now. Yeah.
I just gotta be careful with my health, because Abaddon starts with a boost to his HP as a result. We'll see if he has another spawn or anything with flank. Although, to be honest, Chaos have their legendary 4-cost flanker. What is it, 505? So that's gonna be... Okay, more spawn. So card for card, and I already did damage to Abaddon, so it's still a decent trade. Not terrible. So he's burning a lot of his removal at the moment.
We are the sons of Gilliman.
Now, do I... Yeah, I should continue to be aggressive there. But I do seriously need to plan out when to use the Hive Factory. Because otherwise, it's just a wasted card in my hand. Again, the Inceptor would have been the best choice, because the Flyer... Only problem is he had no actual troops. So it wouldn't... Okay, so I can buff up the damage nicely. I can very easily boost it up there. How's the best way to go about that? Because I'm going to have 1 energy left, so I think I bring up the Scout and not really use the Hive Factory, but... I don't think that's the right choice, because my opponent's playing very passive, so I assume he has the Hateful Spite, whatever the heck that AoE is, that does 2 damage to two damage to everything. And then otherwise
The Emperor at the hour of battle.
at the same time though, I might as well.
Taking cover. Enemies in range.
Now, I'm just thinking this might be useful for triggering codexes.
Yeah.
So now we're on equal footing. We'll see what happens here. There's a lot of uncertainties in my strategy. I won't lie. But right now they're playing passive Hell Strike, so that's their entire turn. Oh my. The amount of times I see that do full damage and kill my units. It's aggravating. So I can company bike and just draw cards. Just keep chipping them down.
Temper your speed with faith and flame. Yeah.
Because if we could start getting our death from above and other means to do direct damage, that will help tremendously as we get lower health. Because Ultramarines are probably going to win that low health game if we're on equal footing. Let's just hope I don't regret putting my death from above away from my starting hand. Because we still have 20 cards to go through after all.
Blood for the Blood God.
Yep, here comes the big cards.
Save you.
So I can deal with them very easily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can very easily deal with this.
That is all I need.
Now, 4 damage. My Warlord, and then I could play both of them theoretically. Is that really worth it though? Because now I'm running out of... Oh. I could do another Inceptor actually.
One strike is all I need.
I like that better there. We have tempo on the board. I am vulnerable to the dang AoE, but then again, none of my troops really have the durability to survive more than one turn, if I'm honest. At least if Abaddon engages him, he has to take the full damage.
The crusade cannot be stopped.
So he spent 8 energy on that, so this is easily worth a retribution. And this will put him down to 5. Easily worth a retribution here. What's my other play though? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, can I actually kill him now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I could just kill him now here. Yes, I can. Okay, good thing I noticed that there.
Taking cover.
We didn't need our death from above. We just took out Abaddon with a scout. How embarrassing. Very tense. And I think my opponent was starting to get his momentum going, because again, he seemed like he was very late game centric. And thankfully we were able to keep chipping him down to make that work. Even without our death from above, which I kind of rely on for doing the finishing blow more often than not. Alright, Eldari this time. And thankfully, what is it? Our warlord here is actually pretty good at dealing with the spirit stones. It's just knowing when I should make it my business to take out as many spirit stones as possible, or do something else. And this is not really a good hand with that said. And I don't have 3 cost cards, so I think starting with 1 extra energy does not help me here. I would seriously have considered it if I had the 3 costs.
The hour of blood and clashing blades has come.
So we're just gonna get aggressive, although with Eldari, that's probably not something I realistically want to do because they do have that legendary card which does 8 damage to any target for 8 energy. So I kind of want to play a little more conservative for that reason, perhaps. I just don't know if they have that card because again it is legendary. And if this goes fast and furious, there's a good chance they may not even draw it there. Because we'll easily be just entering about 10 energy, and this is unfortunate. No cards to play, and of course my opponent...
The strands of fate have guided me to this place.
I do want to play the Interceptor, because if he does survive, then my chaplain can take advantage of that.
Guides us to victory.
And I gotta stop attacking like that. I'm going all aggression, which this isn't probably a smart idea. Swooping Hawk, that's fine.
Retribution has arrived.
Alright. So I can kill with a bike. Sadly, I cannot use the chaplain the way I would like. A bit of a problem. Actually, that's not entirely true, maybe? I can keep the Intercessor alive by killing the Spirit Stone with my Warlord.
We need to move now.
I just don't have another 2 cost card is the problem.
Temper your speed with faith and flame.
This might be better for keeping my bike alive and just killing the Spirit Stone. I would have really liked that chaplain though, with that said, but I didn't really think about whether they play a 3 cost card there, let alone the Swooping Hawk. I was kind of expecting them to do what they did now, just try and draw another card and play late game oriented. And now I won't be able to get my 5 cost, yeah, won't be able to get the 5 cost play, but at least I can have the chaplain out to buff up either my Inceptor or the lieutenant.
Trust in the Emperor at the hour of battle.
Now the big problem is what happens when a Banshee or, well, they can easily have the 5 cost card come out for the, yeah, the Spirit Seer. But at least I have some preparation for that. Okay, that's going to be a bit of a different story, but thankfully we have the Sergeant to help negate that. And take no damage as a bonus. So that's probably a good case, best case situation for me, because they just burnt their Spirit Stones that they just spent multiple turns trying, just grabbing. Now, turn 7, what is my play? Well, it depends on what they do. I have Death from Above for anything big. I have the company bike to follow up. That's unfortunate. But I can at least kill it. Yeah, I could kill it. Probably not the situation I want, though. Because I'm really hesitant on engaging, but my opponent again is playing late game too. So the longer this goes on for, the more trouble I am in.
May the sting of grief commence. We will protect the craft world.
Now, I don't have an easy way to deal with that. Okay, 2 damage with you. 1, 2, 6. Okay, I could do some damage here.
You'll be dead before they see me coming.
I don't like it though. But at least it kills both his, ends his entire turn. I just am running out of cards fast.
Yeah.
So this is not looking promising for me. I will at least be able to play both of them next turn. But yeah, again, they were playing very late game minded, and I am not in a good position to deal with it. Especially if they have another Crimson Hunter. Alright, a lot of this will come down to what happens here with the Codex.
Shot by shot, we will purge the galaxy.
So I do want to kill that, but it means sacrificing the Sergeant. I was really hoping it would hit this there. But now it's not going to survive. I'm about to take a bunch of damage in result. As a result, yet again, I'm running out of steam. I played a little too slow when I probably should have been more aggressive, but again, they have a card that's very good for, kind of like I talked about before with my Death from Above, that can just be good in those low health situations.
The bloodied blade of Cain.
And they have a legendary card too.
I bring swift demise.
So this is pretty much game. I didn't get as aggressive as I probably should have. And now we get the card draw. I could draw 2 more cards, but that does not help. Let me draw 2 more cards. I have the health to at least take this hit. And then draw a card off this. And why do you have extra health? Oh, he played Nightshade Interceptors. Okay, that explains it.
Yeah.
Alright, that makes a little more sense. I managed to refresh my hand some, but again, this is in my opponent's court. I need to punish them. I need my I need my inspired retribution really in preparation for something really big. That might have been what's causing the biggest issue. And they're setting up for probably, what is it, Host of the Dead?
Surround them.
If I had to
Strangle
guess.
them like the serpent.
It's a good thing I didn't have anything out there, because that could have been problematic there. Alright, let's start chipping down.
Form up and advance.
Chipping them down there. Because we can easily deal with the scouts.
Taking cover. Enemies in range.
Now, they will do a or psychic storm more than likely.
Strike soon.
So I gotta be ready for that.
Yeah.
And sadly I don't have any death from above yet, so we'll see if anyone survives here or not. Probably a host of the dead is probably gonna trigger. Nope, there's the storm. My lieutenant should survive. Yeah, he'll survive. And there's Spirit Stone,
Heed my word.
which, so long as I can keep hitting the Warlord, is not terrible. But I'm almost at the 8 hit point mark, so it's not looking promising, with that said. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so I could play almost everything. Alright, so we're gonna go charge in.
Strike is all I need.
It is a trade that I don't like. Okay, I think we win here. 6, 7, 8.
Come, warriors.
Yep.
Our salvation lies not here.
Okay. Okay, so that was a victory I was really fearing for my life there. It probably was because he didn't have the legendary cards or didn't have them in hand. Because yeah, he was close to the same range as me there. Again, probably a bad habit to actually check this for my ego or just vindication or whatever you want to call it, but just to try and get a sense on where they would be. Because I haven't really been playing with my Eldari deck at all for multiplayer to kind of inflate my range, so what you see is pretty much what you probably, hopefully would expect if you were playing multiplayer, because I've only been playing exclusively the one deck that I have been trying to utilize, or at least prepare for these videos. So I like to think that we're doing well. I'm a little bit surprised. I was expecting to get a little more stomped, although to be fair, we have yet to encounter orcs, which also are kind of like the new big thing. So it remains to be seen if I can deal with them. Alright, Chaos yet again. I don't think I want my Infiltrator, so let's see for a 2-drop. No 2-drop. Which could be problematic if they drop a minion down.
You are nothing before the might of the Black Legion.
Okay, there we go.
Down those traitorous dogs.
Although at the same time, I don't want to play him too early. He's probably key for later on, if I'm honest. But at least here I know Chaos don't really have good means of doing direct damage to me, where Eldari I'm a little more weird at. And I probably would have died in any other circumstance just because... What is it? The Howling Death? I forget what that Avatar of Cain built. Wailing Doom, that's what it is. If they had Wailing Doom, then I'm probably screwed in any situation like I was there with our Eldari opponent. And he's not playing anything. Which begs the question. I want to punish that really. Because my opponent's playing very cautious and slow. I dislike having my bike out like that, but it's extra damage. To kind of force him to do something maybe. Because he didn't even attack, did he? No, absolutely nothing. Okay, so gonna buff him up, that's fine. Because gonna be a bit of a problem there, but I can taunt with Vanguard, but What I need to do is set up... Oh, and it's going to continue to get buffed too. That's a bit of a problem. So I do need to kill him now, sooner rather than later, which is awkward. A lot of the reason why I want someone out on the field. So not playing Intercessor was probably a mistake in this regard. Because yeah, he'll be 1 hit point short.
One strike is all I need.
Let him buff it up, because the more he infests in it, the more that it hopefully can work in my advantage. I just need a nerf. I just need a nerf. Well, I'm not going to get my sergeant out anytime soon, and by then he's going to be so strong that it's not going to do much good. So you are going to buff his survivability, right? Nope, just go for face. Alright. So that was painful.
Head will be my trophy.
Yeah, and if he strikes and survives, then that's a problem. Thankfully, I can't kill him. At a nice discount. What do we do with the rest of the energy, though? Yeah. I will kill him at... Because right now, yeah, he does 3 to 5 damage, so he does need to die. So it's still a 1-1 trade, but I'm losing health fast. And then if I do this, then he's going to play... Well, if he plays his AoE blast, that's not... Yeah, if he uses his talent, that's not terrible, honestly. It has less energy for him to continue to play something big or flood the board. And then I can use my sergeant or even my chaplain to help counter that. Well, that's convenient. Inconvenient. Not a huge issue though yet. I can deal with our plague burner here. And I'll survive with only 1 health. Alright, so we'll see what they do next. I do want to try and get to lower health pool, but we'll see if he has an option to deal with my sergeant or not. That's going to be the big thing. Does he have to go face? Oh no, he's going to attack me. He probably will attack me, yeah. So, do I do Inspire Retribution here or not? That sounds like a terrible question. I don't like this idea, Moss, but he's playing very aggro. So let's not give him that damage he craves. I feel that's a terrible waste, though. But if the firstborn survives, then I can do a nice counterattack with our chaplain, because I could spend all 8 energy next turn with what I currently have available. Okay, I was wondering where he would come from. I was wondering when he appears, so that's unfortunate. I'm just gonna get outrushed down, and this is a very solid legendary card too.
I soothe the dark gods.
Thankfully, we are saved, if only slightly.
Ready your jump packs? We strike now.
Just a lucky break there. And it'd be better to just do this. A little more reliable. Now, let's see. Does he have Draknir, Draxiel? That upgrades his melee attack to be 6. No, he doesn't have the Helldrake. That is unfortunate, because he got a high roll there too. That is unfortunate. I feel like not playing that Assault Intercessor on the first turn was a big mistake there. That's probably what cost me, because then he got that big hit with his Noise Marine. Very unfortunate how that played out. So I don't know if this is the same fella or not, but we have a little more well-rounded hand with Calcius to help get aggressive. So this could be pretty good. I am going second though, that's the only caveat. So we'll see if that enables them to get more aggressive.
You are nothing before the might of the Black Legion.
Take down those traitorous dogs!
Death to the false emperor!
Alright, so this is an easy situation here. I just punch him, which still hurts for 3 damage, and then Firstborn to help negate that damage a bit.
We are the sons of Gilliman.
Let's see if this guy's the same. I don't honestly know if it's the same fella or not. I haven't paid attention to the name at all. But we'll see if we get Noise Marines or... Nope. I'm going to...
Drives me.
I want to assume no, it's not. Now, this is a really tough choice. Actually, I could still kill it relatively easily. If I could get the hits there, that helps a ton, though.
Shot by shot, we will purge the galaxy.
Yeah, that was kind of the worst case situation there. Now I have to go hit with both of them.
Yeah.
I was hoping the 2-point damage would hit. But at least we're still trained decently there. With that said, they're only gained the advantage because I had to go into a 3-point... yeah, I had to charge into 3 points of damage on both occasions. Let's see what they do. Are we gonna... No, there should be no Noise Marine at this point. Okay, Warp Talon.
Strike from the warp.
This is a situation I would love to have my Assault Intercessor, but alas, it's not meant to be. And honestly, I don't really have good options here either. Next turn I might be able to do something, but... I want to leave him... I don't want to attack with the Sergeant to kind of force him to deal with it. I just don't like doing that, honestly.
Taking cover. Enemies in range.
Yeah. I don't know what my strategy is, if I'm honest here. We'll see if he commits to buffing up the Warp Talon, though. Because there is really no reliable way to deal with the Warp Talon. So it makes a perfect catalyst for maybe a combo play, or at least a follow-up play on the next turn. And it's the only flying unit that Chaos have as well. So you can't really plan for a flying unit to come in. But even then, it's not too difficult to deal with because it has no ranged attack, which is probably the biggest strength that flyers have. So it can be dealt with quickly. It's just a question of how much damage does my opponent want to take. Okay, so he's just going to kill everyone with blast. That at least limits what he can do. Alright, so...
One strike is all I need.
Did he actually attack with the... Wow, he did not actually attack with the Warp Talon. Which is interesting. That's going to be there. Oh, that was a mistake. Because, yeah, you're going to get resilience if I let you live. That was a mistake. I should have done maybe a second one of that. Oh, that wouldn't have been enough damage anyway. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm rambling. That was not a good turn. That's probably going to cost me. Especially with the blast there. But yeah, if he doesn't attack, then the Warp Talon doesn't do much. I can kill him off. That's not gonna help me is the problem. Because I'm not gonna have a board presence. I would like an assault intercessor here. Well, this sadly does not work there. I can't get the kill I want. I would have to go face, sadly.
Strike is all I need.
This unfortunately is not working out. I'm losing this trade because little too beefy creatures that or troops that are not cheap enough that doesn't justify Inspired Retribution. Yep, and they have a legendary card too, so that sets them up nicely. So I'm dead next turn unless I have the Assault Intercessor. Alright, so probably the best I could hope for here.
The Emperor guides us to victory.
It's probably too little too late though, sadly. We'll see what happens. Because yeah, that's an easy enough kill.
Unstoppable.
Okay. This is unfortunately odd amount of health damage. So yeah, 6, 8, 10, so I'm too short. If I was able to get the Codex trigger, that would be ideal, but I can't. So I lose on that account alone. That is unfortunate there. Just 2 points short, and if I had one scout, if I didn't use that scout earlier, maybe that would have done the difference. It was down to the wire, like I said. Just one little misplay of maybe using a scout when it could have held on to is probably what did it.
Cannot save you.
Well, that was foolish of my opponent. I guess they had no way to kill me? That was an interesting end, to say the least, and that it results in us not losing anything, right? Well, at least I didn't lose, so my win streak still continues, right? Right? Alright, Tyrannus this time around. And we see the Stoneanthrope, which is really good to deal with my 3 health cards, which is going to be unfortunate. Assault Intercessor is going to do very little damage. Bike's probably not going to matter much. I don't really expect much from these guys. And yet they're insistent on staying on the front line with me.
Swords of Calth, with me.
I commend them for their valor, but sadly it's not going to be effective for the chapter's success. So yeah, I don't even want to play him if I'm honest, but and at least we'll force him maybe to just do a 2-drop instead. I was burned by chaos by not playing him, but at the same time, this doesn't really help all that much. At least against chaos, against a Harken World Claimer, he could survive, is the bit of difference.
Now.
And no, burning you is not worth it either, is it? I'm not a fan of this. Because with Tyranids, especially one with a 1 energy talent, little Spirit Leech, you have to play a lot more differently, especially in the early portion. Because they're just going to go for the kill and only take 1 point of damage. But at least I could do some decent damage here.
Shut my shot. the galaxy.
And if they go face into that, that's another 3 points of damage at least. We'll see what they do. What's it gonna be? Are you gonna kill the Stern Guard, or are you gonna actually do your strategy? Okay, they're gonna do their strategy a turn late. And it's not even to keep their units alive either. Okay, I know what play I want to do here to help counter our Biovore. So
For your speed with faith and flame.
this ought to be pretty good here.
They'll be dead before they see me coming.
There, nice solid clear of a very problematic card. Just because they got greedy or they just drew it. I did not pay attention where it came from in their hand, honestly. They didn't buff it, so I'm going to assume that they just drew it. Or they're that worried about making sure I didn't have a presence on the field when they played them. That would make sense. So sadly, I cannot get the Chaplain out as a result of that last turn play, but I can draw cards. Yeah, now this is the interesting question. I have a rare opportunity where actually can I do an attack with the bike. I guess I might as well. The lower health they are, the better. It feels kind of wasteful at the same time. But we're getting to a point where if I can get my death from aboves and some more direct damage, then they're within kill range at least. And I don't honestly care about you. Gonna be annoying, sure. But now I could threaten their warlord very easily with our lieutenant.
Form up and advance. Yeah.
Alright, we're almost in kill range. A death from above would be really nice here. Because it will be a bit problematic for him to kill the lieutenant here. Okay, so they're just gonna flank. So I'm gonna have to be quick in killing this guy off, which isn't likely to happen, sadly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm probably dead next turn, is a bit of a problem. Yeah, I'm dead, sadly. Because that 1 point of armor is going to be problematic, isn't it? Yeah, I lose there, sadly. I don't think there's anything to do about it. Could have probably played the Inceptor instead, but that might have been a mistake. I did not look at the Inceptor all that much. So I'm sadly dead. Maybe I should have tried to do damage to the Warlord as well to go for another tie, but yeah, no death from above there was probably a big issue. Yeah, it's been multiple games I did not get my death from aboves, which is unfortunate. Which would have made a big difference there, but to make it that close without it is still a good thing. Still progress, I suppose, but still. Maybe the mistake there was not using my sergeant, but then the Sonesrope would have probably just did the killing blow with its artifice upgrade or artifice trait. Hard to say, especially since they had 2 extra damage in hand. Hard to say how it could have played that better. Alright, Eldari. There's our death from above, but we don't want it this early at the same time, though. So we'll take these 2 out. Ah! I guess the death from above heard me talking crap about it. Now it's insistent on me on having it in my hand.
Cleanse this place. We must protect the craft world.
Alright, so this is a nice easy way to deny him spirit stones. At the very least, I don't need troops for this. Although having my reavers would be nice here as well, to at least have presence on the board. But yeah, easy enough to keep them from gathering spirit stones, which can really mess with their strategy. If this is not an experienced opponent, they're going to probably be a little bit stumped on how to best make use of their Wraith Guards and their Spirit Seers. Sadly, if I'm lucky, 50-50 chance that Scorpion dies. It's the best alternative I could think of because I have no other way to hit that through that stealth.
Shot by shot, we will purge the galaxy.
And that was a mistake there. I shouldn't have done that. Should have killed the Spirit Stone. I rushed that. But at least it's at an odd energy pool where their Wraith Blade is at odd energy at least.
Surround them! Strangle them like the serpent!
Okay, so no Spear Stone from them, so I'm not really concerned about that. Now, I can easily kill it. It's just a matter of what do I trade for, because health is very important if they have the Wailing Doom. So I might as well use this sooner rather than later, right? And not have double up on troops.
Temper your speed with faith and flame.
Whether that's worth it remains to be seen, honestly. But I think this deck is strongest when we're down at around 10 health, at least. Especially now that I have Death from Above currently in hand. But again, I've been having really difficult time utilizing the Chaplain, but I don't know what's a good 4-cost card. If I want to go with the Honor Guard or something else. And I probably just kill you, do I? Because sadly I can't use my Sergeant because of that play. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could do 4 damage to it, which is not enough on its own, and I don't think I want to use Death from Above either.
We need to move now.
But I can't kill it at least.
With faith and flame. Taking cover. Enemies in range.
God dang it. I thought I had the energy cost for all of that. That was a misplay.
Yeah.
I thought I had 1 more energy. I don't know why I thought I had more. That is unfortunate. Why did I think I have extra energy? Oh, because maybe I tricked myself into thinking he was 2 cost briefly due to my last turn play. Well, that's easy enough to deal with. He's easy enough to deal with, I'm not worried. It does take all my energy though. But he only got 1 of them. And now they could play the Spear Seer, which could be a bit of a problem with me having no troops. Wild Host, what the heck is your deck? I'm confused what this deck is. If it was a pure Wild Host deck, I wouldn't be seeing like our legendary card, for crying out loud.
I bring swift demise.
I don't know what to make of this.
Ready your jump packs?
because a Wild Host deck doesn't need that much Spirit Stones. Is a bit of the problem. Although this is where a Crimson Hunter comes in, sadly, I would imagine, if they are a Wild Host. Normally this is where, yep, there it is.
We are the raging winds.
And sadly I don't have my blind to negate that at all. So I don't like doing this, sadly, for obvious reasons. Because, again, Wild Host deck is a late game oriented type of build. And they have all the Spirit Stones they need for their Wraith Fighter. Yeah, and then my Storm Raven wouldn't have been very effective anyway here.
The raging winds.
Alright, so if I can blind you, that would help a ton. Okay, so if I play here, I have 6, so I could play my Taunt and the Chaplain. And sadly, no blind. None of my infiltrators, which is a bit of an annoyance.
The Emperor guides us to victory! Yeah! Trust in the Emperor at the hour of battle!
At least we could slow down the Crimson Hunter, if only slightly. Sadly, I lost my Depth from Above, and I'm vulnerable to the Wailing Doom if they have it. Do they have the Wailing Doom or not? Yep, there it is. Not much I could do about that. I made a terrible misplay, but again, with them playing Wild Host like that, I need to get more aggressive somehow. But their deck was really confusing. Why on earth would a Wild Host deck want the Warden? Because Wild Host doesn't use Spirit Stones all that much, honestly. Where are they at? The Spirit Seer here. Yeah, the only units that realistically need Spirit Stones, at least of a true proper Wild Host, is the Wraith Fighter here. They could have a Wraith Knight and Wraith Lord, or the Avatar Arcane, but yeah. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, especially since we haven't really seen any Wraith Guard or anything of the like. I don't know what to make of that. That Spirit Seer play kind of threw me off with what to expect, sadly. And of course I did do a terrible misplay too, which doesn't help me. Alright, one more with Chaos. Got ourselves a well-rounded crew here to an extent. And I learned my lesson. Let's try and do the turn... Well, it might be a different story with me going second, but we'll see about playing with the Intercessor or not.
Nothing before the might of the Black Legion.
Take down those traitorous dogs!
Now, just going face, I am fine with that. Death from Above makes a return. Perhaps we'll get a chance to use you properly.
Shot by shot, we will purge the galaxy!
I have better direct damage stratagems. Besides me, the Helldrake can be scary, but it's also random for extra cost. So I still would argue that I have the better direct damage type of play. Especially with 6 damage already in my hand. 7 if you want to include the Scout.
I live in your nightmares!
Alright, I don't even need to... I could just blast normally and call it a day, or even have the Scout. Scout's a good play. And he'll be protected.
Enemies in range.
The gods have a plan, and the Despoiler will enact it.
Okay, for a moment I thought he was quitting or retreating there, but we're good. Because Vanguard over here, because even if he does his blast talent, it will not hit the Scout. So he is well protected. He'll get an opportunity to do full damage. And your spawn are not going to help here. But he is really buffing it up though. Well, I call that a win. 2 cards for 1 just to get at the scout. I call that big win. Sadly, I have no minions or no troops at this point, but... This begs honest question. Do I just dip from above now to make use of my energy and really put the pressure on him?
I am the herald of the apocalypse, and you will listen.
This is a tough choice.
The gods have a plan, and the despoiler will enact it.
I don't like this play because it tips off what I'm trying to do.
I am the herald of the apocalypse, and you will listen.
It does fit with my aggro play though, but it tips it off. It makes it obvious is the problem. So if he has any way to get reliable favors, he'll just give him taunt. One, 2, 3, 4.
You have no place in this galaxy.
Aw, he's being rude. I have a scout. Do I even want to play a scout? Not yet, I think. Yeah, I only have the lead because of I need
Cannot be stopped.
Inspire Retribution. No Inspire Retribution. But I can kill it. 1,
The
2.
gods have a plan, and the despoiler will enact it.
So I'm gonna take 6 damage as a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4,
The
5.
time of the Black Crusade is now.
So this is gonna hurt like hell.
Temper your speed with faith and flame!
Yeah!
So now I think we play a scout to just have a presence on the board.
Taking cover. Enemies
Oh.
in range.
Although, if he has that spiteful whatever AoE it is, that's probably not worth it.
My hate drives me.
Yeah, again, I keep forgetting about that AoE too. We can keep wearing him down at least with the AoE and other abilities.
The gods have a plan, and the despoiler will enact it.
Yeah! The Emperor guides us.
It is quite a fast and furious type of game, but I am doing some notable misplays, I think. Where there's significant misplays remains to be seen, though. So, gets to choose a buff there, just going for HP. That's fine. I can buff up my guy to counter that easily enough. Okay, just healed himself, so that shows how worried my opponent is, which is good. Now, actually, I might not be able to trigger the codex while I... Oh, I can. I don't even need the codex at this point, though.
You have no place in this galaxy.
Yeah, so do I go straight for face there? Because then if the firstborn will guaranteed hit the... or Worldbringer. Actually,
The gods have a plan,
doesn't really matter.
and the
I can...
despoiler will enact it.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. This is actually... because... yeah, regardless what the result is, I could benefit from either way. And now I have durable units, and they think I have very little options, but I'm about to draw 2 cards, which will be very helpful.
Such sweet cacophony.
Okay, they're gonna try and go for the kill. Potentially here, but that probably is not gonna help them. Yeah, they're just dead already. I just don't care about him, really.
The gods have a plan, and the despoiler will enact it.
One strike is all I need.
I gotta be mindful. Do I have enough damage? Yep. I have enough damage, even without the buff.
Yeah!
We'll see how much damage our Noise Marine has for him. There we go. Yay, we ended off on a victory at least. Some unfortunate losses, but with Eldari at least having those essential legendary cards, and I can't remember what tier it had if I'm completely honest. But yeah, there was some misplays to be had, but like I said, this feels like a very tactical, very specific type of play. Making mistakes, not doing the calculations and not planning properly can lead to disaster, without a doubt, and it remains to be seen on how I could further augment this deck to be a little more reliable. I do surprisingly like the Lieutenant. It's kind of like my most impactful card because he seemed like he did really well there, and then of course he's a very big threat. Once we get our opponent down to around 10 health, they have to take him very seriously just for being on the board. Never mind if I can trigger the Codex again or not. So it wasn't too terrible. We even got our first draw as a result of that. It was not intended. I think my opponent had no options to kill me otherwise. So maybe that's why they went for the tie. They went for the draw. It wasn't too bad of a run though, at least. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I will see you next time.